Every year around this time, I always get a little sentimental just thinking about back to school. And I really miss taking my kids school shopping and the excitement that they would have getting their new clothes and their school supplies and getting all ready for that first day of school. We were on vacation recently in Idaho, and we spent the night on the way in Bozeman, Montana, where one of the universities is. And it was just so cool to just the vibe there and the students that were in Starbucks. And we happened to be there on the weekend that the students were moving in. So they were there with their parents. And Jenny and I were talking about it afterwards. We just love college towns. I remember when I was attending the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I was a communications major, and I was walking through the student union one day, and I saw one of my communications professors sitting at a table in the student union having coffee with a bunch of other students. And I thought, that really looks like that would be cool to be mixing it up with the professors and drinking coffee and everything. So I remember joining and walking up, but I was going to give it my best shot of mixing it up with the professor. And I think I lasted probably one morning, maybe two at the most, because things were just going over my head. I didn't understand what all the fuss was about. And so that passed, and eventually I quit having coffee with the professors. On Thursday mornings, I meet with three other guys for what we call the Thursday Theologians, and we are going through this book that is so over my head. It is like a college textbook times 10. In fact, one morning I walked in, and there were so many words that this author used that I thought, I don't even know what he's talking about. And fortunately, one of the guys that was there, who's an assistant principal of a school and a teacher, he brought in a dictionary that particular morning because he said, man, I could not understand those words. And I really felt good that morning. Well, okay, at least I'm not the only one that isn't picking up on all the different definitions of the words that this author was using. These three guys are really, really smart. And I have to admit that even though I have a college degree, there are times when I'm just simply intimidated by those who have schooling above and beyond what I have, a master's degree or a doctorate degree. And I'm really thankful for how gracious these guys are for putting up with me. It seems that autumn is all about learning. But when I think about learning and education, I think about the words of Paul in his second letter to Timothy. He said this in 2 Timothy chapter 3, beginning in verse 1. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. I think we would all agree we are in times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Now, certainly in these days, we see all of those things taking place. But what really strikes me about this text is what he goes on to say about these same people, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. As we read through that list of the perilous days and what will happen as we await the Lord's return, I think about people's zeal for knowledge, zeal to learn. And as Paul says, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. I would suggest that the reason that they're not able to arrive at the truth is because the truth is difficult to face. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me. When we come to Jesus, we're compelled to acknowledge our sinfulness and to be willing to surrender that, to lay that down at the cross, and in faith look to Christ, who is the truth. Don't get me wrong, knowledge is good. I think of the things that we experience in our world, good things that have come about through the brilliant minds who have designed things and constructed things. And so we must never despise learning, but we should take heart, at least I'm reminded to take heart, that I don't want my learning to overshadow the truth of who Jesus is.